Have you ever noticed that the more desperately you want something, the further it seems to drift away? You try harder, you think about it constantly, you chase it, you grip it, you beg the universe to give it to you, and still, silence, resistance, delay. But what if I told you the problem isn't in the desire, it's in the gripping? You don't manifest by clinging, you attract by becoming. This episode is not about magic, it's about alignment, real, practical alignment between your thoughts, your energy, and the life you say you want. Because the truth is simple. You do not get what you want. You get what you are. So today, I want to challenge everything you've been taught about manifestation. Not to give up on your dreams, but to shift your relationship with them. Because when you let go of the need to control the outcome, you step into a power much deeper than force. You step into flow. If you're tired of pushing, chasing, and constantly falling short, this might be the shift you've been waiting for. 1. Your thoughts and emotions are magnets. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the energy shift, without a single word being spoken? That's the unseen language we're always speaking, the energy we carry, the emotions we broadcast, the silent vibration of our inner world. And what most people don't realize is that this energy, this invisible frequency, is shaping our lives far more than our words ever could. Your thoughts are not just mental events. They are instructions to the universe. They're signals that shape what you notice, how you behave, what you attract, and what you silently push away. And when those thoughts are soaked in fear, lack, anger, or self-doubt, you begin to emit a vibration that pulls in more of the same. It's not punishment, it's physics, it's alignment. This isn't some mystical concept. It's how your nervous system works. When you constantly think about worst-case scenarios, your brain begins filtering your environment through fear. You notice more threats. You assume more judgment. You unconsciously sabotage opportunities because part of you already expects things to go wrong. And when that becomes your norm, even good things feel out of place, or too good to be true. But the opposite is also true. When your thoughts begin to shift toward gratitude, confidence, possibility, your body follows. Your energy softens, your presence expands. You stop chasing and start attracting, not because the world has changed, but because you have. And the world can only meet you where you're willing to meet yourself. Ask yourself, what thoughts do I keep feeding every day, even in silence? What emotional state have I grown so used to that I no longer question it? Because that baseline is your magnet. And until you shift it, no external effort will ever be enough. You don't attract what you beg for, you attract what you embody. So instead of asking, why am I not getting what I want? Try asking, what am I currently a match for? That one question changes everything, because it puts the power back in your hands, not the power to manipulate outcomes, but to become someone new, someone who naturally invites the things they used to chase. This is not about fake positivity. It's about emotional integrity. It's about becoming so deeply aligned with the energy of what you want that it begins to feel familiar, inevitable, like something that's already yours. You are a magnet. Whether you realize it or not, you're already attracting. The question is, are you attracting by default or by design? 2. Clarity in your desires. Have you ever tried to chase a goal you couldn't even fully describe? It's a common trap. We say we want change, success, love, peace. But when asked what that actually looks like, we freeze. We stumble over vague words. We use broad strokes. We say, I just want to be happy, or I want to be successful, without defining what happiness or success truly means to us. And then we wonder why nothing's happening, why the vision isn't coming to life. But here's the hard truth. If your desires are unclear, your results will be too. Clarity isn't a luxury, it's the foundation of creation. The universe, or life itself, doesn't respond well to scattered energy. It mirrors your inner world, and if that inner world is filled with conflicting desires, unfinished dreams, and half-beliefs, then you'll receive experiences that reflect that same confusion. Not because you're being punished, but because you haven't committed to a clear direction. Think of your mind like a GPS system. If you type in 5 different destinations, it won't take you anywhere. If you write, "I just want to go somewhere nice," it won't move. But if you enter a specific address, a destination you've chosen with clarity and intention, the path begins to unfold. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not instantly, but step by step, the direction becomes real. So ask yourself, what do I truly want? In vivid, unapologetic detail. Not what others want for you, not what sounds good or looks good, but what you deeply crave, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Describe it, write it, speak it into existence, because until you do, it remains a foggy wish. And fog does not build reality. This is where so many people get stuck. They confuse longing with direction. They say they're waiting for clarity, when in fact clarity is a choice. You create it by facing yourself, by asking uncomfortable questions, by daring to commit to a vision even when you're afraid it might not come true. And yes, clarity requires honesty, brutal, beautiful honesty. Because you may discover that some of what you've been chasing wasn't yours to begin with. It was inherited, expected, or socially rewarded. But when you strip all that away, what's left is truth. And truth is powerful. Clarity simplifies everything. It sharpens your focus, strengthens your faith, and makes your decisions easier. It also protects your energy, because when you know where you're going, you stop getting distracted by every shiny detour. So take time today, real, quiet time, to define what you want in specific terms. Not just the outcomes, but how you want to feel when you get there. Let that clarity become your compass, because when your desires are clear, the path starts showing up, not by magic, but by alignment. 3. Belief and faith are fuel. What happens when you set a goal, but deep down you don't believe you can have it? You might still write it down, you might tell others about it, you might even take a few steps toward it. But if, in the quiet space of your own mind, there's doubt, if there's a whisper that says, "This isn't for me," or "I'm not good enough," or "Things like that don't happen to people like me," then no matter how beautiful your vision is, it won't take root. Why? Because belief is the bridge between desire and manifestation. And without it, even the most powerful goals remain stuck in fantasy. You can have the right mindset, you can use the right words, you can create the perfect plan, but if you don't believe, truly believe, that what you want is possible for you, you'll sabotage your efforts. Not because you're weak, but because your unconscious mind is always more powerful than your conscious efforts. You might be walking forward with your feet, but pulling backward with your thoughts. There's a reason why so many ancient teachings, philosophies, and spiritual systems emphasize faith. It's not blind optimism, it's alignment. Faith is the energy that makes persistence possible. It's what keeps you moving when the results haven't shown up yet. It's what allows you to say, "I may not see it yet, but I know it's on its way." And that shift in mindset, from doubt to certainty, changes everything. Think of it this way: belief is not a luxury, it's a form of fuel. And just like a car can't move forward without gas, your goals can't move forward without internal certainty. But here's the twist: belief doesn't always start strong. In fact, most people begin their journey with shaky, fragile belief. What matters isn't how strong it is at the beginning, but how committed you are to building it. And how do you build belief? You start by questioning your assumptions. Where did you learn that you're not capable? Who told you your dreams were unrealistic? What experiences shaped your view of what's possible? And are those experiences still relevant today? Most of our limiting beliefs were formed in moments of pain, failure, or rejection, and we never went back to update them. But belief can be trained. It grows through evidence, not just external, but internal. Every time you take a step toward your goal, no matter how small, you strengthen your confidence. You prove to yourself that you are capable of change, that you can keep a promise to yourself, that you are worthy of something more. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." Belief isn't built by talking about your goals. It's built by walking toward them, even when the path is unclear. Especially then, that's when faith becomes real, when you act not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because you've decided the journey is worth it. But belief isn't just about grit. It also requires softness, the ability to receive, to trust, to allow good things to come to you. Many people block their own blessings simply because they don't believe they deserve them. They reject compliments. They downplay their gifts. They self-sabotage when life gets too good, not because they want to fail, but because failure feels familiar. So here's the deeper truth. If you want to attract something big, you have to expand your identity to match it. You can't call in love while secretly believing you're unlovable. You can't attract abundance while thinking you're meant to struggle. The universe doesn't just respond to what you say, it responds to who you are. And who you are is shaped by what you believe is true about you. Start with this question: what is the most powerful thing I believe about myself right now? And then ask, is that belief helping me rise or keeping me small? Because belief is not a feeling, it's a decision you make every single day to trust your worth, to act from your future, not your fear, and to hold space for the life that is already making its way to you. The dream is real. The question is, are you ready to become the version of you who can hold it? 4. Gratitude amplifies attraction. Why is it that the more you chase what you don't have, the further it seems to run from you? But the moment you start appreciating what's already here, life begins to open in unexpected ways. This is the paradox most people overlook. We're trained to focus on lack, what's missing, what's wrong, what we haven't achieved yet. It's how we're conditioned to set goals, to improve ourselves, to level up. But in the process, we unknowingly tell the universe and ourselves a very dangerous lie. What I have is not enough, and who I am is not enough. And that message becomes the frequency we operate on. Gratitude isn't just about being polite or positive. It's energetic alignment. It's telling life, I see what you've given me, and I honor it. And when life feels honored, it responds. Think of it like this. Your emotional state is like a radio station. When you tune into scarcity, you attract static, stress, fear, resentment. But when you tune into appreciation, your signal clears. You begin to notice things you overlooked. You stop needing to force everything. You move from a place of overflow rather than emptiness. And that energy is magnetic. Gratitude rewires your nervous system. Studies in neuroscience have shown that regularly practicing gratitude can reduce anxiety, increase emotional resilience, and improve focus. But beyond science, gratitude has always been a spiritual truth. The Stoics practiced it daily. Eastern philosophies center it as a foundational discipline, and modern psychology now confirms what ancient wisdom always knew. What you focus on expands. If you only focus on what's lacking, you'll feel lacking. But if you begin your day by silently acknowledging 3 things, however small, that you're thankful for, you'll notice your internal state shifting. The same problems might be there, the same challenges, but your position changes. You move from helplessness to perspective, from complaint to clarity, from control to cooperation. And there's something subtle that happens when you practice deep, embodied gratitude. You stop chasing. You stop trying to grasp or cling. You stop demanding life meet your expectations, and instead, you start working with life, like a dance. And from that place, beautiful things unfold. Not because you manipulated them into existence, but because you became a worthy vessel to receive them. But here's the deeper layer. Gratitude doesn't mean settling. It doesn't mean you stop dreaming or growing. It means you anchor your dreams in appreciation, not desperation. You stop saying, "I'll be happy when," and start saying, "I'm thankful now, and I'm open to more." This shift is powerful, because when you're grateful for what you have, you treat it better. You take care of your space, your body, your time, your relationships. You stop needing to prove yourself and begin to express yourself. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel and start walking your own path with calm confidence. Gratitude is also a filter. When you walk in appreciation, the energy you emit becomes softer, clearer, and more radiant. People feel it. Opportunities feel it, and more importantly, you feel it. You start seeing abundance not just as money or possessions, but as peace, time, clarity, and meaning. And when you begin to measure wealth that way, life expands in ways that bank accounts could never replicate. So here's something simple but powerful. Write a gratitude letter, not to a person, but to your life. Thank it for the lessons, for the pain that shaped you, for the small moments of joy that slipped by unnoticed. And when you do, something in you will soften. You'll stop living from hunger and start living from fullness. And from that fullness, you'll attract more, not because you need it, but because you're finally ready to receive it. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a doorway. And every time you walk through it, you remind life that you're not just a consumer of blessings, you're a caretaker of them. 5. Inspired action, not wishful thinking. Have you ever convinced yourself that thinking about something over and over would somehow make it real? We've all done it, played the dream on repeat in our minds, felt it in our bones, imagined it with detail so vivid it felt almost tangible. And while visualization can be powerful, there's a line, a subtle one, between aligned intention and passive fantasy, between tuning into what you desire and simply daydreaming to escape the work. The truth is, wishing isn't enough. Wanting isn't enough. Visualizing isn't enough. If your dreams aren't backed by movement, by real, tangible action, then all you're doing is recycling hope into frustration. And let's be honest, many people hide behind manifestation talk because they're afraid to act. They convince themselves that the energy of the universe will just deliver one day, like a cosmic Amazon package, no effort required. But the universe is not your delivery service. It's your collaborator, and it responds most to movement. What makes action powerful isn't that it's forced, it's that it's inspired. It's born from clarity and alignment. It comes from a place of deep inner truth, not outer pressure. When you act from inspiration, you're not just doing things for the sake of doing them. You're responding to an inner call, and that response creates momentum. This is what separates those who manifest consistently from those who get stuck. It's not that they're luckier, it's that they move. They take the first step, even when the path isn't clear. They make the call, write the draft, apply for the opportunity, change the routine. They don't wait until they feel ready. They act while they still feel scared, but deeply called. And the Stoics would agree. They were not passive thinkers, they were doers. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That's the essence of inspired action. Stop overthinking and start becoming. The longer you sit with an idea without acting on it, the heavier it becomes. And soon, what once excited you becomes a source of shame, a symbol of what you haven't done yet. But here's the beauty. Inspired action doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Small steps, taken consistently with conviction, are infinitely more powerful than grand plans that never leave your head. Write one page, make one call, spend 10 minutes researching. Show up again and again, not because you're chasing something, but because you're becoming someone. And that shift, from wishful thinking to inspired action, is where real attraction begins, because energy moves when you move. Doors open when you knock. Resources appear when you commit. People notice when your presence carries conviction, not just potential. There's nothing wrong with dreaming, but don't let the dream become a distraction. Use it as fuel, use it as a compass, and then move, even if you're tired, even if you're scared, even if you don't know the outcome. Because the results don't come from perfect planning. They come from courageous participation. So today, ask yourself, what's one inspired action I can take that my future self will thank me for? Not to prove anything to anyone, but to prove to yourself that you're serious. Because life doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to aligned movement. 6. Eliminate self-sabotage. What if the biggest obstacle in your life was you? It's a confronting thought, and an uncomfortable one. But look closely. How many times have you talked yourself out of something you deeply wanted? How many times have you dimmed your own light just to avoid standing out? How many times have you made progress, only to suddenly lose motivation, get distracted, or fall into old habits the moment things started getting real? That isn't bad luck. That's self-sabotage. And it doesn't happen because you're weak or broken. It happens because, on some deep subconscious level, a part of you doesn't feel safe with success. Here's the truth. We don't sabotage ourselves because we hate ourselves. We sabotage ourselves because we're protecting ourselves from judgment, from disappointment, from change, from becoming someone we no longer recognize. It's not logical, it's emotional, it's survival-driven, but that doesn't make it any less destructive. Self-sabotage is the hidden engine behind procrastination, perfectionism, chronic indecision, and impulsive behavior. It's the voice that says, "Why even try?" Or "This won't last anyway," or "You're not that kind of person." And unless you learn to identify and dismantle it, it will quietly ruin every great opportunity you attract. Your brain has one job: to keep you safe. And safe doesn't always mean happy. It means familiar. So if chaos, scarcity, or low self-worth has been your default state for years, your brain will fight against any change that threatens to move you out of that pattern. even if the new direction is healthier. That's why success can sometimes feel terrifying, why love can feel uncomfortable, why peace can feel boring. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is the heart of self-sabotage. Patterns you don't even realize you're repeating, stories you're still living inside, beliefs you've never challenged. And until you shine a light on those shadows, they'll continue to run the show. So how do you eliminate self-sabotage? You start with awareness. Catch the pattern before it becomes action. Notice the moment you start pulling away, the delay, the sudden distraction, the moment you forget to follow through. Don't shame yourself. Observe. Get curious. Ask, what am I trying to avoid by stopping myself? What part of me feels unsafe in growth? Then bring compassion into the conversation. Speak to yourself as you would a friend. I know this feels unfamiliar, but we're safe. We're allowed to grow. We're allowed to win. Replace the inner critic with a wiser, calmer inner guide, one who doesn't yell but reminds, one who doesn't punish but leads. And finally, anchor the new identity. Don't just change your behavior, change how you see yourself. Start saying, I follow through. I keep promises to myself. I am someone who finishes. I am someone who chooses clarity over chaos. The more you repeat that identity in action, the less room there is for sabotage to sneak in. This isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifelong discipline of catching the small betrayals, the quiet doubts, the old stories, and choosing something better. Not perfectly, but consciously. You weren't born to stay stuck in patterns that shrink you. You were made to evolve. But that evolution requires you to become the protector of your own becoming, to stop making war with your potential and start walking with it. Because the moment you stop sabotaging yourself, the world can finally stop reflecting that sabotage back to you. 7. Energy and vibration matter. Have you ever met someone who didn't say much, but you could feel their presence the moment they entered the room? That's energy. That's vibration. It's not about being loud or dramatic. It's the unspoken frequency you emit simply by existing. And whether you're aware of it or not, you're always broadcasting. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs. They're not just internal. They radiate. They affect how others perceive you, how situations unfold around you, and even what kind of outcomes you're repeatedly drawn into. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, and what you are is reflected in your energy. Energy is not just some abstract spiritual idea. It's how you show up. It's how you speak when no one's watching. It's the rhythm of your breath, the pace of your walk, the tone in your silence. When your energy is rooted in peace, clarity, and purpose, people feel it. Doors open, conversations shift, life responds. But when your energy is scattered, when you're walking around carrying resentment, fear, self-pity, or chronic doubt, that too becomes your signal. And what's even more important to understand is this: your vibration doesn't lie. You can say the right things, smile at the right time, try to look calm, confident, and centered, but your energy will always reveal your truth. You cannot fake alignment. This is why two people can read the same affirmation, but one shifts and the other stays stuck. It's not about the words, it's about the energy behind them. Are you saying, I am worthy, from a place of deep knowing, or from a place of hope and emptiness? That difference determines what returns to you. And here's what most people overlook. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's survival. Every conversation, every relationship, Every environment either feeds your vibration or drains it. And when you constantly expose yourself to people or spaces that deplete you, your internal frequency begins to drop. You start thinking thoughts that aren't even yours, feeling emotions you absorbed unconsciously, making choices from fear instead of wisdom. So ask yourself, what am I allowing into my field? Who has access to my energy, and are they expanding it or eroding it? It's not about cutting people off for being negative. It's about becoming deeply intentional with your time, your space, and your state. Just like you wouldn't let someone trash your home, you shouldn't let just anyone trample through your mind or your emotional field. That said, energy isn't just about defense. It's about creation. You can raise your vibration. You can choose it. Through music that uplifts you, movement that brings you back into your body, stillness that recenters your mind, words that affirm your worth, environments that remind you of your power, people who reflect your growth. Even the foods you eat, the sleep you get, the breath you breathe, it all contributes to your signal. You are a living, breathing broadcast tower, and what you emit, you attract. Not immediately, not always predictably, but consistently over time. So if you've been feeling stuck, stagnant, or like life keeps bringing you the same patterns, pause. Don't ask, what do I need to do? Ask, who do I need to become energetically? Because once your vibration shifts, once you start walking like the version of you who already has peace, alignment, and direction, the world around you begins to rearrange itself to match your new frequency. That's not magic, that's alignment, and you get to choose it, moment by moment. 8. Release resistance. Why do the things you want most often feel the hardest to reach? It's one of life's great paradoxes. You want peace, yet the more you try to control everything around you, the more chaotic it becomes. You want love, but the harder you chase it, the more distant it feels. You crave success, but the moment you grip your goals with desperation, progress seems to stall. Why? Because beneath it all, you're resisting. Resistance is the invisible wall we build between ourselves and what we say we want. It's made of fear, control, expectation, and the deep, often unconscious belief that life has to happen on your timeline, in your way, or not at all. And the more you resist, the more you try to bend life to your will, the tighter everything feels. It shows up in subtle ways, in the anxiety you feel when things don't go as planned, in the frustration that rises when your efforts aren't immediately rewarded, in the tension in your body every time you hear the word wait. We don't want to flow, we want to force. But forcing doesn't bring freedom, it brings exhaustion. Resistance isn't just emotional, it's energetic. It clogs your intuition, it drowns out your wisdom. It tells you that you can't relax until life gives you what you want. But the irony is this: you often receive what you desire only when you stop needing it to complete you. Let that sink in. When you let go of needing love to feel worthy, it shows up. When you stop clinging to money as proof of your value, abundance begins to flow. When you release the demand for certainty, clarity starts to emerge. This isn't spiritual bypassing. It's about recognizing that resistance doesn't protect you. It disconnects you from presence, from trust, from the very life you're trying to create. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." Because resistance gives energy to the problem. It turns fear into obsession. It makes obstacles feel larger than they are, and it turns your journey inward into a battlefield instead of a transformation. So, how do you release resistance? First, by becoming aware of it. Ask yourself, Where in my life am I gripping too tightly? What am I trying to force into place because I don't trust the timing? Look at your body, your breath, your habits. Resistance is often stored in the shoulders, in the gut, in the jaw. Your body speaks what your mind tries to hide. Then allow. Allow the uncertainty. Allow the discomfort. Allow the unfolding. That doesn't mean you stop caring or stop working. It means you stop trying to control what isn't yours to control. You keep showing up, with presence, with action, but without the internal war. This is where true peace lives, not in perfection, but in permission. The permission to be where you are, fully, while trusting that what's next will come in its own time, its own way, through paths you may not even see yet. Resistance is fear dressed as discipline. Release it, and in its place, cultivate surrender. Not the kind that gives up, but the kind that lets go. Because when you stop trying to bend life to your will, life finally has the space to meet you with grace. 9. Time and patience are allies. What if the only thing standing between you and everything you've ever wanted is time? It's a humbling question, because in our world of instant access, overnight shipping, and 10-second attention spans, we've grown allergic to waiting. We expect fast results, fast healing, fast transformation. But the truth is, nothing real grows overnight. Not wisdom, not resilience, not the life you're trying to build. And if you rush what requires patience, you destroy the very roots meant to sustain you. Time is not your enemy. Time is the soil. And patience, real, conscious, courageous patience, is the water. The Stoics understood this deeply. They lived with urgency, yes, but not with desperation. Because urgency means acting with purpose. Desperation means trying to skip the process. And the process is where life does its deepest work on you. Not in the moment the dream comes true, but in the days, months, and years it takes to become the version of you who can hold that dream without collapsing. So ask yourself, have I truly given life enough time to work? Or have I already decided it's too late, too slow, too hard, because it hasn't happened yet? Growth doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like standing still, like showing up day after day and seeing no change. But deep roots grow in silence. Muscles build in rest. Wisdom takes shape in the waiting. And if you keep uprooting your dreams every time you feel impatient, you'll never see what they could have become. Patience is not passive. It's fiercely active. It means choosing to stay in the process with grace, without needing immediate reward. It means trusting that your effort is not in vain, even when the outcome is still unseen. It means continuing to show up with excellence, not because someone's watching, but because you are. Time also humbles the ego. It reminds you that you are not the center of the universe, that the unfolding of life follows a rhythm far greater than your willpower. And sometimes the delay is not punishment. It's protection. It's preparation. It's life creating the space for something better than what you were ready to settle for. But most importantly, time gives you proof. Not just that things are possible, but that you are resilient, that you can keep going without immediate reward, that you can build momentum through stillness, that your value isn't tied to speed, but to endurance. We often ask, how long will it take? But the better question is, who will I become if I commit fully to the process, no matter how long it takes? Because success is not just about what you reach, it's about what you withstand. So be patient, but don't be passive. Take the step, do the work, hold the vision, and let time do what only time can do. Refine you, shape you, fortify you. You're not behind, you're becoming, and becoming takes time. 10. Align with the universe. Have you ever asked yourself, what if life isn't something to conquer, but something to cooperate with? Most people live in a constant state of resistance. They push, force, chase, hustle, believing that success, love, peace, or fulfillment must be taken from life like a prize. And while ambition is powerful, there's a different kind of strength that few people ever master. It's the strength of alignment, of realizing that the universe doesn't work against you unless you're working against it. To align with the universe is to stop treating life like a fight. It's choosing to listen more than you react, to observe instead of forcing, to trust that sometimes the detour is the path. It doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in, not to weakness, but to the wisdom of a higher rhythm. You can feel it when you're aligned. Life becomes less noisy. You stop needing to chase. Opportunities seem to come with more flow, more clarity, more grace. Why? Because you're no longer swimming against the current of your own becoming. When you're out of alignment, everything feels harder than it needs to be. You hold on to relationships that drain you. You force careers that no longer fit. You stay in environments that stifle your growth, simply because your mind insists that this is how it has to be. And that rigidity, that refusal to let go, is exactly what blocks your growth. Alignment begins with honesty. Radical, uncomfortable, liberating honesty. Where are you pretending? Where are you forcing outcomes just to feel safe? Where are you ignoring the signs, the gut feelings, the inner voice that's been quietly nudging you towards something different? Carl Jung said, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." If you're constantly resisting reality, denying what's true, what no longer works, what you've outgrown, then don't be surprised when life keeps sending you louder lessons, because the universe will not give you peace at the cost of your purpose. But when you align, when your actions match your values, when your environment reflects your energy, when your choices support your inner clarity, life starts to unfold differently. The right people arrive. The right ideas take root. The path opens not because you pushed, but because you finally stepped into it. This is not magic. This is resonance. It's the same way two instruments vibrate together when they're tuned to the same frequency. You and life are no different. When you align, you attract. Not because you demanded it, but because you became a clear channel for it. So ask yourself, am I aligned with what I say I want? Or am I just attached to the idea of it, while my actions reflect something else? Alignment doesn't guarantee ease, but it gives you peace. Because even in difficulty, you know you're where you're meant to be. You know your steps are real. You know your energy is no longer being wasted on things not meant for you. To align is to surrender the illusion of control and step into the power of trust. It's not passive, it's precise. It means knowing who you are, what you value, and how you want to show up, even when life doesn't follow your plan. When you align with the universe, you don't walk faster, you walk wiser, and that wisdom is what turns desire into direction. 11. You attract what you believe you deserve. Have you ever wondered why certain patterns keep repeating in your life? Relationships that drain you, opportunities that slip away, goals that never fully materialize. It's not always because you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it's because on a deep, often invisible level, you're still accepting less than what you truly want. Not because you don't care, but because a part of you still questions whether you deserve more. This is the hidden core of manifestation that many people miss. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you believe you're worthy of. And worthiness isn't something you declare once with confidence. It's something you live through your standards, your boundaries, and your daily choices. You may consciously desire a loving, supportive relationship, but if you continue tolerating inconsistency and disrespect, you're teaching the universe what you're willing to settle for. You may want financial freedom, but if you avoid making empowered decisions around money, you're reinforcing the belief that wealth isn't meant for you. Life responds more to what you tolerate than what you dream of. So the real question becomes, what am I still allowing that no longer reflects who I want to become? Most self-worth issues aren't loud. They don't show up in obvious ways. They hide in the decisions you delay, the conversations you avoid, the apologies you make for wanting more. They whisper things like, maybe I'm asking for too much, or I should just be grateful for what I have. But here's the truth. Gratitude and self-worth are not mutually exclusive. You can be deeply grateful for where you are and still know you're worthy of more. Deserving doesn't mean entitled. It means prepared. It means you've done the inner work to know your value without needing proof. It means you've learned to set a new emotional baseline, one where peace is normal, respect is non-negotiable, and joy is not something you have to earn. Carl Jung spoke often about the unconscious patterns that run our lives. Until we confront them, we continue repeating them. And belief, especially the belief about what we deserve, is one of the deepest patterns of all. It informs how you love, how you work, how you rest. It determines what you say yes to and what you finally learn to walk away from. So if you want to attract more, you don't start with vision boards. You start by upgrading your identity. Start living as the version of you who knows they deserve a peaceful life, who doesn't chase because they've become magnetic, who doesn't beg because they've become clear, who doesn't doubt because they've done the work to meet their own gaze in the mirror and say, I am no longer available for anything that insults my growth. You attract what you believe you deserve, not because life is punishing or withholding, but because life mirrors your level of self-regard. And when you raise that standard, the entire world starts to adjust. So ask yourself, if I truly believed I was worthy of what I desire, what would I stop accepting today? What would I stop explaining away? What would I finally allow myself to receive without guilt or apology? Because the moment you decide you're no longer a match for the old story, the old life, the old version of you, that's when the new one begins to unfold. So maybe now it's time to stop chasing and start becoming. Because the version of you that already has what you desire isn't waiting to be found. It's waiting to be chosen. Chosen in your thoughts, in your boundaries, in your energy, in the quiet, powerful decision to align your life with what you claim to want, not in theory, but in action. Let go of the grip. Let go of the fear that says, if I don't fight for it, it won't happen. Because the truth is, what's meant for you doesn't require a fight. It requires readiness, inner readiness, energetic readiness. The kind of readiness that's built through belief, clarity, patience, and self-respect. Every single day, you're teaching the universe how to treat you, through your vibration, through your self-talk, through the people and habits you allow in your life. So don't ask for more until you're truly willing to receive it, to hold it, to live in a way that reflects it. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You're not behind. You are in the process. And when you stop forcing life to happen on your terms and instead flow with life on its own, everything begins to shift, gently, powerfully, naturally. If this episode gave you something real, a moment of reflection, a spark of motivation, a reminder of who you really are, consider subscribing, sharing it with someone you care about, and leaving a comment. What's one thing you're letting go of today to make space for what you truly want? Your transformation doesn't begin when life changes. It begins when you do.